Good morning, everybody. This is Michelle with Creative Operation, and I'm having quite a morning. I'm trying to get this video done, and I've been having some troubles. I'm going to be honest. I can't seem to get it right today. So we're going to try this one more time. What I want to do is I want to show you how I made my folio. This was presented in a video a little bit ago. And today what I was going to do is start a series on how to make the base, how to make the binding, and then we're going to work on the pages on a separate video. I've had some difficulties. So what we're going to do is start all over. So first off, I want to show you, this is the one I made. Again, I did a video on it a couple videos ago, so you can go back and take a peek at what it all looks like on the inside. And I've had some requests for how to make it, so we're going to go ahead and do that. This one was made with Graphic 45 Home Sweet Home papers, and I think it turned out just gorgeous. I want to make another one for this tutorial series, and for this tutorial series, I am going to go ahead and use this. It's by GCD Studios, and it's called Antiquities. I have had this in my stash for a very, very long time, and I decided it is time to pull it out and use it. So this is the paper line that I'm going to use for this tutorial, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, like I told you, I've had some difficulties, and so I was going to show you on the full-size model how to put it all together. Well, I had some issues. So what I ended up doing was putting the model together mostly, and I'm going to show you on a smaller model how to put it together, and then we'll finish it up on this one. So I apologize for that, but the thing is still the same. So I made this, and I don't know if it's easy to see or not, but the binding pieces for the chipboard that you can see in here are scored, but you don't fold them and burnish them because you want that nice rolly kind of edge to it. Okay, this is made out of chipboard, 4 pieces of chipboard and some cardstock. The cardstock that I'm using for this is by Country Craft Creations, and it's a linen cardstock that's like 80 pounds, and I have never used it. I just started recently using it, and I found that I've absolutely love it. So I'm going to be making some more orders because it turned out it's just awesome cardstock. So anyway, let's go ahead and start with the measurements for this book, what you're going to need to get started. Okay, so for the chipboard, you are going to need, and I'm going to open this up, and let me see if we're kind of sort of in frame. We kind of are. So what you're going to need is a piece that's 8.5 by 11 of chipboard. You're going to need a piece that's 4 by 11. That's going to be the right side. You're going to need a piece that's 7 by 11. That will be the left side. And then you need 2 pieces. That will be the top and the bottom on the inside of the folio once we fold it all together. And these 2 pieces of chipboard are going to be 5.5 by 11. Okay, so again, 8.5 by 11 for the back, 4 by 11 for the right side, 7 by 11 for the left side, and then 2 5.5 by 11 for the middle pieces. Okay, and then you're also going to need the cardstock to create these binding pieces. And so you're going to need several pieces in all. So for the side pieces, you'll need 4 pieces that are 3.5 by 11, and you will need, for the top and the bottom pieces, you will need 4 pieces that are 3.5 by 8.5. Okay, they're scored exactly the same way, and I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. So that's how you're going to put it all together. So let's go to the mini model, and I'll show you how I did that. I apologize for having to do it this way because I just totally messed it up, and I wasn't sure how to do it, so I'm just going to go with mini model. So mini model, I've just got 2 pieces of scrap chipboard that I'm going to use. And then we're going to have a couple pieces of binding pieces. Now these, if you're going to do this, you can do this folio in any size. And it just, the binding pieces have to be either the height or the width, depending on which side you're doing it on. And it needs to be, now for my book, because I made it so huge, I needed a 3.5 piece binding, depending on how many pages you want to put in, or what you're doing. You can make it smaller if you need to, but basically this is what I'm doing for my book. So you're going to start and you're going to score at 1/2 inch, and then you're going to continue scoring at 1/4 inch increments all the way across. Okay? Except you're going to stop at 1/2 inch from the edge. Okay, so however wide you end up making your binding, if you're doing this for a different project, you need to have 1/2 inch pieces on either side. That's what's going to bind them to your chipboard. Okay, so we're going to go through and score at 1/4 inch marks all the way, leaving 1/2 inch on each side. And you're going to do that for both pieces. Start at 1/2 and then go across at 1/4 inch increments all the way across. And then you're going to stop at 1/2 inch from the edge. And for my particular piece, since it's 3.5 inches wide, I'm going to stop at the 3 inch mark. Okay? Now, you don't want to burnish these and fold them, okay? Because you want that nice rolly edge. But you want to have a little give. That's why we're doing the score mark all the way across. You just want to have a nice little rounded give. You don't want to have it actually folded, okay? So then on the back of one of these bad boys, you're going to put some score tape. And you want to do it all across the scores. You want to make sure that you don't go over the first score line or the last score line, but you just want to go to the edge, okay? And my little cutter, and I don't know if I found this on Little Bee washi tape. It has a cutter on the edge, and it is amazing. So it took me, I threw away a couple of them before I really realized that was there. So if you have those, keep them. It works out really good for cutting score tape. All right, and then this little piece down here, I'm going to fill it in. You want to try and fill it in as much as possible to make sure that you get a good stick on it. And it also helps to also reinforce your cardstock. Okay? All right, so that piece is prepared. Okay, so you want to do on each of the 4 bindings, you want to do a set. One has score tape and one you leave blank. So then you take one of your pieces, and I have put score tape at 1/2 inch on the side. And then you take the piece with the score tape and you just line it up to the score, not over the score. Stick it down really good. Okay. And then you take your other piece, same thing on the other side. Line it up really nice to the score. Stick her down. Okay. And then you take this second piece, and again, you're going to want some score tape. I love score tape. I love that you can rip it. If it's wider than 1/4 inch though, I usually use my cutter, but with this, using my fingernail, I usually can do it pretty good. Now you can, score tape is probably the best for this particular application. The rest of the book, if you want to use glue, you know, wet glue, whatever, whatever works for you. I really like score tape, but I do use liquid glue combination. So then when you have this first piece adhered down to the cards, or to the, chipboard. So then turn it over, you got all of this tape here, and then you're going to want to try and line up the score marks to the score marks in the one underneath. Lay it down nice and gentle. Don't stick it down too much because you want to turn it around and you want to kind of really eyeball it, make sure you got it right. And then stick her down, okay? And again, you know, kind of go along the top side, but don't bend all of the scores, okay? You just kind of want to make sure it gets stuck at the sides of the chipboard, okay? But then you want to be able to have that kind of nice roll, flexible edge to it, okay? Which is going to curve around really nice and neat, okay? So that's what you're going to do with the main body of your book, okay? Let me grab that book. Where'd it go? It's over here. Okay. So we'll get rid of this model. And here's our main book, okay? So when you get done, you're going to have your 4 pieces attached to the back piece, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to cover each piece with our cardstock, okay? Now, the reason I did it like this is because on my first book, when I did it, I used pattern paper for the binding pieces. And it ended up, of course, I had a 1/2 inch mark, or a 1/2 inch of paper on the chipboard, and I wanted to cover that up. So I covered it with red cardstock and then pattern paper over the top of it. So that's why you do the bindings, and then you cover it with the cardstock for second. So I did all of these first. I did some of them because, like I said, I had some technical difficulties in the first one. So the 3 are done. But I left this one so I can show you how I did it. All right? And you're going to want to cover the outside of the book first. And then the inside will be covered with pattern paper, which will cover the edges of this. Okay? So, what you're going to do is you're going to need some cardstock that covers this. And let me get my measurements here. All right, so you are going to need 2 pieces of cardstock that will be 8.5 by 11. One goes in the inside and one goes on the outside of the back cover. I keep throwing my foam tape around. I gotta get rid of it. All right. And then you're going to need 2 pieces that are 6.5 or 6 by 9.5, and these are going to cover the top and the bottom outside of those cardstock or chipboard pieces. You're going to need one that's 12 by 4.5 to cover the right side, and you're going to need one that's 12 by 7.5 to cover the left side. Okay, so again, you'll need 2 at 8.5 by 11 to cover the front and the back of the folio. You're going to need 2 that are 6 by 9.5 to cover the top and the bottom inside cover pieces. You're going to need one that's 4.5 by 12 to cover the outside right-hand side. And you're going to need one that's 12 by 7.5 to cover the left-hand outside. Okay? So, that all being said, so I covered these first 3. All right, so now I need to cover this one on the outside. So I'm going to flip this over. This is a huge project, and honestly, you need a lot of room to make it, and I don't have a whole lot of room, so it's been kind of a challenge, but it's a really cool project. It turned out really neat. I really like it. I've made several of these, and I'm probably going to make more because I just think it turned out cool and it has so many possibilities. Okay, so bindings on the chipboard. I have this piece here that needs a little bit more score tape here. So I'm going to put that down, go close to the first score line, but don't go over that first score line, okay? And I wish I had, there we go. Okay, so then just take your paper and you're going to have a 1/2 inch on the 3 sides left over. So I'm going to be a bad girl and just eyeball it. But I want about a 1/2 inch on each end, and I don't want to go over that first score line. I want to go just to it. All right? And then adhere that down. Okay? And then we're going to flip this thing over. All right? And so you can see that there's a 1/2 inch on each side. Okay? So then I have started doing something that's a little different. I don't know that I've seen anybody else do it yet, but if I have, I apologize, and I just don't know who to credit. So if you guys have seen this before, let me know. But I haven't seen this before. I got to thinking, so when we do scores, when we take a piece of paper and we score it, where's a scratch piece I can use? Okay, so when we take a piece of paper and we score it, generally what you want to do, because you're breaking the fibers and you're kind of training them to go one direction, you want to fold it as you score it. If you fold it the other way, sometimes you'll have a lot of breaking. So you want to fold it as you score it. So I got to thinking, when I'm making my books, I've been flipping them over and scoring on the edge from the inside, okay, to try and train them to go around the chipboard. So I've been doing, you know, kind of this number. And I thought, well, why am I doing that? I was getting some ripping with other papers. I haven't been getting ripping with this paper, but with some other papers, I've been getting some ripping. So I decided to start trying something else, and it's actually worked out pretty fabulous. So what I've been doing is, you can feel the edge of the chipboard. It's pretty big. So then I've just been kind of gently going on the outside with my bone folder and scoring it that way. I'm training it to fold in the direction that I really am wanting it to go. And this has worked really well for me. You have to be gentle and you have to kind of go slow and just kind of ease it down. But it has worked really, really well to help prevent any kind of tearing that you may have with other papers. Now, I haven't had it with this paper, but I have had it with other papers. And so I've been starting to do this, and it's worked pretty good. So we've stuck the paper down. I scored on the outside. Okay, I'm going to turn it over, and we're going to stick it down. So we'll do that really quick. There's many, many different ways of doing the corners on these, and I'll show you just how I do it. I've had a lot of practice at it, so I've got kind of a system down. The other thing you're going to want to do also is you're going to want to miter the corners a little bit, and there's, again, many different ways of doing that to cover the corners of your book. The easiest one for me is to just whack the corner off at like a 45-degree angle, but you want to leave about 1/8 of an inch past the corner of your chipboard, and that is what will wrap around your chipboard and cover the corner. Okay, so we started scoring, we started training our paper to go the way we want it to go. Okay, so I'm just going to do it a little bit more before I take the tape off and stick it down. Okay, then kind of my mantra when I do this is top, bottom, side, side. So top, bottom. Okay, make sure it's stuck down really good. And then I'm going to turn it a little bit so I can get a good angle. And then hopefully you can see this. I think you can. Okay, so then I take just my fingernail. You can take a bone folder, whatever works, and just kind of nudge that corner in. do that. And then make sure it's stuck down. Okay? And then you're done. All right. So that's that. So then I'm going to put a piece of black paper on the back, inside and outside, and yeah, let's do that real quick. Okay, let's just do that real quick while we're on, and then you can just kind of see how things are shaking out here. So again, I really love this folio design. It is big. It's great for huge projects, you know, or huge events in your family. If you take a gigantic vacation, that's awesome. There's lots of places to put all kinds of pictures and stuff. So you can use all score tape on this. Sometimes I like to do score tape and then put glue in the middle. Personal preference on how to do it. And then just line it up over your chipboard, stick her down. Okay. Okay, and then the back. And I hope this all made sense. If you guys have any questions, please, 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 please let me know. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties and how we had to use the model. I think in the long run it was probably easier to see it in a smaller version than trying to move this guy around in the limited space that I have. But again, if you have any questions, please, please, please let me know. Okay? All right, and then again, put some glue. Okay. All right. Line it up. Stick it down. Now, I did go and cover the back of my book with patterned paper. So, but this is kind of a nice base. All right, so here we go. So there's that. So now we have our outside completely covered. Okay. So then the other thing that I wanted to show is how I did that keyhole ribbon closure. So right here, I want to show you. Okay, so I was trying to figure out how to do a ribbon closure. I was trying to figure out how not to rip the paper, because obviously if you put the ribbon under this side and you're pulling it this way, it's going to be okay. But if you put it under here and pull it that way, it's not going to be okay. So how am I going to fix that? So I came up with this idea, and I'd like to show you how I did it. It's really, really super simple. So you're just going to need ribbon, and you're going to need front pieces for this. All right. My doggy just came in, so everybody say hi to Ace. All right. So the keyhole. So this pattern paper is gonna go here. All right, and we're gonna put the ribbon underneath, and then this is gonna go here, and I'm gonna put the keyhole over here, and that's what's gonna make the closure. Okay. So first thing we want to do is I have my ribbon that I want to use, and I'm going to go ahead, and I've already pre-taped my paper, and I've already pre-inked my paper. So I inked all of the edges of my papers with Distress ink from Tim Holtz, and so I did that. Alrighty, so we're gonna go ahead, let's take all this off because we want to get it ready to stick down. Alright, and I'm gonna take my ribbon and I'm going to put it right where I had it already set in the middle. I'm gonna put one more piece of tape over that to help secure it. Like that. Okay. Sometimes it's just easier to use your fingernails, isn't it? Alright. So then, on the front of the book, I cut these so that there should be about 1/8 of an inch border of black on each side. So I cut the papers basically 1/4 of an inch smaller than the chipboard. Okay, so there's that part. That's the easy part. All right, so now we have that ribbon ready for closure. Okay, so now we got to fix the other one. So what I did was I took and I kind of lined everything up and I measured where I wanted my ribbon to come out, and that's the middle part. And then I found, where is my keyhole? What did I do with it? What did I do with my keyhole? There it is. So these are by Tim Holtz as well. And, come on. Okay. So I got my keyhole and my 2 brads. Okay, so what I did was I took my paper, and before I stuck it down, kind of lined it up, measured it where the middle was, where the ribbon's going to end up going, and I took the keyhole and I figured out where I kind of wanted it to be. And then I drew a line down the middle of the keyhole, and that's where the ribbon's going to come. So I'm going to take my X-Acto knife. I did it about 3/4 of an inch from the edge of the pattern paper, and I centered it. And then we're going to make a slit in it, if I can get the release off of my... So I'm going to make a slit. Okay, and then I'm going to take my ribbon and stick it through the slit. Okay, just like that. Try to make sure it's nice and straight. Okay, as straight as you can get it. It will be a little bit tight because it's going to have to come through the keyhole too, so you don't want it. Okay, so it's going to come out just like that. All right, and then go back here, and then you can take some tape and stick it down. And then you're going to want to secure this one as well. Okay. All right, so that's secured down. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your keyhole and you're going to take your punching tool, put your ribbon through the keyhole. Isn't this cool? I don't recall ever seeing this. I just kind of was like, what am I going to do? I don't want the paper to rip. I want it to be pretty. And I had these keyholes, and I was like, oh la la, this is awesome. All right. Punch your holes. Put your brads in there. And of course the tape is stuck to the back of my phone. That's okay. I know how to fix that. Come on, paper. There we go. And then just set your brads. And you have a really cool ribbon closure. Okay, so then the other thing that I like to do is I like to put extra tape over the back of my brads. So let's go ahead and take this off. So I can actually put the tape on there. Whoop, come on now. You can do it, you can do it. I know I can do it. All right, there we go. All right, so we did that. Now we've got our keyhole piece, and we're going to put it onto our front cover. Just like that. So now when we close our book, we are going to have a really nice closure. So that keyhole will help protect the slit and that it won't rip, and it looks really, really cool. So that is that. So that's how I did that. So basically, now what we're going to do is we're going to cover all of our inside and outside pieces, and then we will be in business to start making pages. So let's real quick go through all of that. Again, I have pre-cut all my pieces. I think this is going to turn out really, really cool. I really like the way this album is turning out. Okay, so I'm calling these outside flaps, and I'm calling these the inside flaps. So, I mean, look at this paper. Is this not gorgeous or what? So this is going to go here. This is going to go here. I got the front inside on both sides. Isn't that pretty? I just love it. I just love it. So let's stick those down really super quick. I wanted to try and make this as fast as possible so that we could get through this quickly. The next video will be on the page construction. So again, I cut these about 1/4 of an inch smaller than the chipboard so that it gives an 1/8 of an inch border on it. I love this paper. I pre-inked all the edges so that I could do this pretty fast. That chandelier. I might have to get some bling out on this one. Well, wait, I bling everything. But I have chandelier piece bling. Hey, I have jewels. Maybe I could do that, right? Oh, I hope you're liking this video. I have been really excited to do this. I've had some requests, and so I'm glad I actually finally have the time to sit down and do it. All right, so again, lining it up. Oh my gosh, I love this paper. I just love this paper. Isn't it funny how you can have something in your stash for years and years and years? Because I don't know if you're like me. I tend to get stuff when I see it. If I love it, I buy it. And I might not necessarily have a project that I'm thinking about, but I know that one day the perfect project will come. And when it does, I'm ready, which is pretty neat. All right. So there's that. That beautiful lady. Ah. All right, so got our flaps on the top and the bottom. And this paper also from this company has kind of a linen type feel to it. It has a little bit of a, oh gosh, what's the word? It has a little bit of, oop, there we go. This is one of the reasons why I had to redo the video, because this was put on backwards. It still works. But, yeah. I think I'm doing it okay this time. Alright. So there's that. And last but not least, the inside flap. Almost there, guys. Almost there. Almost there. This is turning out super cool. I am really... It's funny how, you know, I picked out all these papers and I knew it was going to be pretty. But when you see it actually put together, that's when it's like, you know, you hear the angels singing, you know. Just turns out way more beautiful than you thought it was going to. I think this one's going to turn out really cool. So this paper line, you'll notice that it has all these shapes. So it was made for spellbinders pieces, so that it had kind of made ready to die cut pieces in some of the papers. So that was kind of cool. All right, so there's the inside. We've already got most of the outside done. Let's put the back on, and we are in business. So far, so good. This Antiquities folio is turning out a lot more beautiful than I thought. And even with all my previous video problems, I think to quote a wonderful man that I know, I am endeavoring to persevere. Okay. All right, there we go. So that's the basic folio. So you need your 4 chipboard pieces. You need 8 total pieces of your binding, so you can have kind of a double thickness of binding. Don't burnish and fold these scores. You just want a nice, easy, kind of rolling, rounded, nice folio. Okay? We got it covered front and back, and then when it closes, it's going to be tied with this beautiful ribbon. And of course, as you use it and as we fill it and do more things with it, it will, you know, lay down and be beautiful. So there you go. All right. So that's the end of the first video. I hope you like it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will be back with the next video to show you how to make the pages. I hope you all have a crafty day. Bye-bye.